today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Sunday, July 21st. Happy Baseball Hall of Fame Induction Day. And I was glad that I got to catch it because I actually completely forgot that it was at 10:30. I had just got returned home from the gym, turned on the TV to eat some breakfast, and the show had just started. So it was great to see. And one of the things I wanted to pay attention to was the parade of Hall of Famers as they're introduced. Specifically for me, I wanted to see if Sandy Koufax was going to join, and unfortunately, he didn't. So I was a little disappointed there, but I totally understand why he wasn't there. It was great to see a lot of these players. In some cases, it is difficult to see guys like Rod Carew basically walking with the aid of a walker, or Tony Perez was Tony Perez and Billy Williams both had pretty strong limps there now, and so that's hard to see, but it's still neat to see all these great players all in one location. From a baseball card perspective, the two oldest cards, so to speak, would be Juan Marichal and Billy Williams, both represented by 1961 Topps. Any players' cards before that era were not around. So just interesting to watch. But I got to watch Todd Helton's speech. I'm waiting for Adrian Beltre to come on. I pushed pause on my television because I want to get this video out. Obviously, it being Sunday, this is the week of the National. And for those of you that are going, I hope you guys have a wonderful time. Please remember to send video of the cards. I'm really excited about what cards you guys buy out there. So please don't forget to show us video of the cards you bought. And I like seeing the footage also of the show in general. It's neat to see a big show. The biggest show we have out here is Burbank, and I know that show pales in comparison to from what I'm hearing with the National is out in Cleveland. So have a wonderful time out there, you guys. Speaking of the National, I am going to talk to you a little bit about the National. Before I get into that, though, because of all these national videos we're about to see, I know we've been seeing a lot already, but I know we're going to see a lot more once these guys come back. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off because I want to enjoy some of these videos and give me a chance to recharge and think about what I want to show. And I know that all you're going to be watching all these videos of guys at the National. So I'm going to take a break for a couple of weeks, and let us all enjoy these videos that we're about to see. So as I mentioned, and I'm leaving a link for this. I went to the very first National in 1980. Last year, I made a video, and I'm going to put a link in my description. My description of me, three of my high school buddies, all getting a ride from one of my buddies' parents in a camper and being dropped off at the National, the first ever National in Los Angeles, California. And if you want to find out what we did and what I actually remembered, I don't remember much about the cards, to be honest with you. But take a look at that video if you want a good laugh. But I have been to two other Nationals, believe it or not. And the reason I wanted to talk about those Nationals is my state of mind compared to today, so to speak. Just because, to be perfectly honest with you, the other two Nationals I went to, I really wasn't thinking about baseball cards. And I was in a total frame of mind. So I'm going to talk to you about these two Nationals that I went to way back when they used to have them in Anaheim, California. It's been a very long time since the Nationals been out this way. But the first time I went after 1980 was in 1991 in Anaheim. I could be wrong. I think that one was the legendary one of attendance figures. And I remember for that event, what happened was I got in for free. I signed up for a California resale license because I could get into some type of VIP. I'm assuming it was some type of premiere or preview event. So I got my California resale license. And at the time, I was starting to think about selling cards as opposed to, I wasn't collecting. I hadn't bought a baseball card for quite a while, but I did have a business frame of mind when it came to cards because, like I said, I had my resale license. And at the time, no, so yeah, about a year earlier, I still have this, believe it or not. I thought, I'm talking hockey and I'm talking hockey cards. I thought Eric Lindros was going to be the next Wayne Gretzky. And when Score came out with their initial set of hockey cards, they had a 5 or 6 card subset of Eric Lindros. At the time, I'm going to get this figure wrong. I want to say the Wayne Gretzky card was worth, let's say, $800. So this case was of 24 Canadian cases, which was a little bit more expensive than the American cases. I bought a case of 24 sets for $325. I made $300 a week back then, so that was a week's pay. Um, I bought those with the intentions of holding on to them for 10 years, whatever, and then selling the case for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. That was what, 33 years ago? 33 years ago. And those cards are still in their case. They've never been, the case has never been opened. It's still sitting in my garage, and I would be lucky if I got $200 for that case. So, if you want to talk about, that's probably why I don't sell cards. If you want to talk about an investment, that was a bad investment on my part. I am sitting on a case of 19, I think it's 1990 to 1991 Score Canadian sets with Eric Lindros rookies. I have been told by certain people, Martin Brodor's rookie cards in there, that I should actually rip open the box and get those all graded. So it's just, they're just all sitting there. But in that regards, the reason I was there in line waiting for waiting in line was because Upper Deck Hockey the previous year had released these Wayne Gretzky Patrick Waugh prototype cards, and they were really expensive a year later. And I had heard that Upper Deck was going to be giving away. I'm going to show you guys a better angle of these later when I turn the camera. They were giving away these 2 cards: Barry Sanders, Joe Montana. They were prototypes. And I was like, I got to be there. I got to go. They're going to be worth hundreds of that. They're going to be worth $100. So I got my California resale license to get in for free, and I stood in this massively long line. Something I would never do today. I just can't stand lines. Stood in this massively long line for hours, watching people cut in the line, watching the couple in front of me starting to get into a fight because people were cutting in line. Um, Eventually, I got in. I got 2 Barry Sanders cards, 2 Joe Montana cards, and honestly, you guys, once I got my cards, I left. I didn't look around. We were on the floor. There were tables everywhere, and I got my cards and I left. Didn't sell those either. Again, a reason Rick doesn't sell cards. He's just not very good at it. So that was my experience at the 1991 National. I went one more time in 1996. Again, no, I'm not buying cards, you guys. This my frame of mind in probably in the next year or two, my mind would start buying cards again. But at this point, I went to the National just because Sandy Koufax was going to sign autographs. Now that's a big deal now, and you might see that photo right there, pointing to it. That's my Sandy Koufax autograph photo. I'll show you a close up of it before the show ends. But so what I did for that National 1996 again in Anaheim, I paid $60, and I remember I charged it on a credit card, $60, and I don't remember how much I paid to get in. I honestly don't. Maybe it was $10. Um, when I got there, I went down, I remember going down an escalator at the Anaheim Convention Center, and there were people selling 16 by 20 photos. So that photo behind me cost me $20. So there went another $20. They go, would you like a top loader to put it in? So they had this massively huge top loader so I could put the photo in. And I remember just that was another $10. So now I've spent $60 on a ticket, $30 on the photo and the top loader. And it's time for me to go meet Sandy Koufax. And to show you how times have changed, and I'm not in Cleveland. I wasn't in Chicago last year, but I've heard these stories about these massively long lines just to wait for, Barry Sanders' autograph or whoever. Um, I'm supposed to meet Sandy Koufax, let's say at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I get there and I'm like the second or third guy in line. I should say second or third guy. I was the last guy in line. Maybe people showed up after me, but anyway, they finally said to me, okay, I'm standing there for maybe 10 minutes, if that. And it was finally my turn. And I walk up. And all of a sudden, I'm staring at Sandy Koufax. He stood up. He reached out, shook my hand, asked me my name. I said, Rick. I think I said Rick. And we're talking, and he's just being a sweetheart of a man. And I am just trembling. And all I remember saying to him was, could you please make the photo to Rick? And he said, oh, he goes, absolutely. And, it says, the inscription says, to Rick, best wishes, Sandy Koufax. And there was no iPhone, nothing like that. So there's no photos of this event. I spoke to him for a minute, shook his hand again, left. And I was just like, I was a kid. I know I had the biggest smile in the world. So I went. I went and grabbed. I had my photo now in one hand. I had my top loader, but I knew this autograph was still not dry. I went and found someplace to sit, and I just sat there blowing on the photo. And people were just kind of walking around. They go, "Hey, Koufax autograph, personalize that thing." And I go, yeah. And all of a sudden people started coming over and they're like going, whoa, look at that. And honestly, in that era, I can't tell you if Sandy Koufax was signing autographs all the time or very little. But to me, at that point in my life, I got the impression that this was a rare signing or one of his first signings. I'm probably wrong, but I had a Sandy Koufax autograph. So after blowing air on this thing for a couple of minutes, I put it in the top loader and everything was fine. And to this day, that photo, I got it framed and matted. And again, I left. I didn't even look at any cards, you guys. I was just totally in a frame of mind of I'm getting Sandy Koufax's autograph. So that was my day at the National in 1996. Now, there is one regret. And to this day, it kills me. Standing next to Sandy Koufax at the next table, and I don't know what the layout is like today when it comes to autographs, but literally Sandy Koufax had a 6-foot table that he was standing or sitting behind. At the table right next to Sandy Koufax, which was 2 feet away from, was Joe Namath, who also did not have a line. And I'm watching Namath, and I've had a man crush on Namath since I was like 6. Even to this day, I still try to talk to him on Twitter and just get stoked if he even hearts my tweet to him. I wish him a happy birthday every year. And if I ever saw him now, I'd be like, oh my God, it's Joe Namath. But that day, there was Joe Namath. He'd been out of the league. Ooh. A good 15 years still got the long brown hair, good looking man, he was wearing sunglasses, just being charming as hell to everybody around him. And I had a credit card and I was like, do I want to do this again and spend $60 on the autograph, buy a photo, buy a top loader and do this again? And back then, $60 was a lot of money. And obviously, since I used a credit card, that means I wasn't that means I was making payments. God only knows how long it took me to pay that thing off. So there was Namath, there was me, and I just walked away, never went back. There's a side of me that, in hindsight, I should have gotten his autograph. But those are my memories of the National. I have never. In 1980, I did buy cards. In 1991, 1996, I did not buy cards. My mindset is completely different today. If I was in Cleveland this week, I'd be buying cards all over the place. But back then, I think because it was in my hometown, I honestly went for a couple of hours, got what I needed, and left. I didn't even walk around. But those are my memories of the National. So what are we doing today? In honor of Joe Namath, I am picking 12 cards. 12 is one of my favorite numbers, and it's because of Joe Namath. But I am picking 12 cards from my display cases. I usually show you the display cases from this thing down here. Those are the cards that aren't good enough to go on my wall. But I've got 5 display cases out in the hallway, and right behind the screen, I've got my play balls cards. I'm going to take some cards from there and just show them to you. In honor of Hall of Fame Day, 11 of them are Hall of Famers. One of them isn't. And I'll explain to you why. So let's turn the camera around, and we're going to take a look at some cards. So here's a better view of these 1991. They were called them promos or prototypes back then, of Joe Montana and Barry Sanders. And like I said, I picked these up just thinking that I was going to make a bunch of money off of them, and I never did anything with them. I'm sitting on 2 cards, card numbers 1 and cards number 500. I have 2 copies of each. I think if you go on eBay now, you can get them for $10. Could be wrong, but those are the cards I picked up at the National in 1991 in Anaheim. So the 12 cards I'm going to show you from display cases, with the exception of 1, guys, I mentioned they're all in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to start with brand new inductee Adrian Beltre in a 1997 Bowman card. I think PSA, if you're on the set registry, you actually need to buy the 1997 Bowman Chrome. But I took this card, and here's Adrian Beltre. I think he played 7 or 8 years for the Dodgers. And I am one of those. I'm not unhappy that he's going in as a Ranger, because he did all his good work on the Rangers. Adrian had some very good years with the Dodgers, especially his last year. But the ownership, which to this day I still refuse to mention by name, they were just too cheap to keep him. Let him go off to Seattle. And even when he went off to Seattle, he didn't do much. At Boston, he kind of woke up a little, but in Texas is where Adrian really got his act together. So I am appreciative, though, that he does have a good relationship with the Dodgers now. He threw out the pitch this year at opening day. And congrats to Adrian Beltre on his induction into the Hall of Fame. So my next guy was inducted back in 1969. And that is Stan Musial. One of only 2 cards of his I have in my collection. I have the 1953 Bowman and the 1963 Topps card. But here's Stan the Man Musial. All right, next up, inducted in 1980, was Al Kaline. Al Kaline, I bought this in a 3, and it's marked. Well, I always forget to look for the mark. I should have done that before the show started. But anyway, somewhere in here, somebody put an ink mark or something on here. I didn't think I'd ever buy this card, but then I found this 3, and it marked at a good price, and I won it. So I'd already bought the 1955 card, and that was displayed prominently on my wall until this one showed up. So here's my 1954 Topps Al Kaline. And I did meet Al when I was interning with the then California Angels in the mid-90s. Al came with the Tigers, and he was one of the color commentators. Very sweet man. It was really nice to meet him. Okay, inducted in 1947, Lefty Grove. 1933 Gowdy. This was a card, I could honestly say, here's where YouTube had an influence on me. A few people were showing off this card, And I said, I have to have that. That's a beautiful card. And 32 Gaudy's a great set, and I was able to get a good deal on this. And this is Robert Lefty Grove. Next up, I just thought it'd be a little different. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1979, and that's Hack Wilson. Hack played a year or two with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And this card, and I believe actually the 33 Gaudy is also a Dodger card. This one I like more because you see him in his actual uniform. And I think this is a really neat set. I have the Dodger team set. It'd be neat to work on the full set, but prices are just too out of control. But I really like this set a lot. And here's Hack Wilson from the 1934 Batter Up set. Now, here's my one card that the guy wasn't inducted, and I honestly think he should be. And this is the 1984 Fleer Update Roger Clemens. And this was a card. I do own the 1984 Fleer set, and then I built the 1984 Fleer Update set, and I didn't buy the tops that year. That's the one year I decided not to do tops. And Fleer seemed to be of more value, which is something I rarely do. But when I saw they had Clemens and Strawberry and I think Doc Gooden, I go, I want that set instead. So this is my 1984 Fleer Update Roger Clemens. And one day, I'm assuming he'll eventually make it into the Hall. So then all these cards I am showing you will be of Hall of Famers. All right, this next guy was inducted in 1995, and that is Richie Ashburn. And I never realized I probably realized it when I bought it. Didn't realize it until now, probably because I haven't really paid attention. I go, wow, when did I buy a 1950? Why did I buy a 1950 Bowman Richie Ashburn in a 5.5? Obviously, prices must have been way cheaper for me to be spending money on a 5.5. But I've been buying a lot of 1950 Bowman cards lately, and this is one of the cards I already own. So that is Richie Ashburn. I really like his rookie card. That 1949 Bowman is a beauty. I would definitely like to get my hands on that. Let's see. Next up, inducted in 1999, is Nolan Ryan. And I am currently working on trying to get a 1968 Topps Nolan Ryan rookie. Hopefully I can make a deal at the Burbank show next month. Even if I were to the day I finally get that card, I'm keeping this one up on the display wall. I like this card a lot more. This is just 1969. This is one of the better cards in the set. And I really like this one. This is 1969 Topps Nolan Ryan in a PSA 4. Inducted in 1949 from my Play Ball, 1941 Play Ball set, arguably one of my two favorite cards in the set, either this one or Bobby Doerr, and that's Charlie Gehringer. And one of the fun things I had working on this set was just getting to learn about all these great players from the 30s. Some of them played in the 20s, and it was just wonderful to read about them. Charlie Gehringer was the one who I just said, wow, I wish they'd talk about him more. Maybe if I lived in Detroit, they'd talk about him, but great ball player. I think maybe he gets a little overshadowed by Hank Greenberg, not sure. But this is a 1941 Play Ball, Charlie Gehringer. Here's a card from 1949 I'd love, and like I said, I want the Richie Ashburn, but I do have the Robin Roberts. And Robin was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1976. Love the cap. I love that Phillies cap. And it's a PSA 1.5. I wanted to pay, I know I paid low 100, which was, for me, a lot of money when I bought this. And it's just a good looking card. And that's Robin Roberts. Okay, inducted in 1972. A 1963 Fleer Sandy Koufax in a PSA 5. Fleer did put out a set in 1963. They were able to release Series 1, which was 66 cards. And then after that, Topps filed some type of injunction, and Fleer didn't release any more baseball cards that year of Major League Baseball players. But there are 4 Dodgers in this set. I have them all, including the Maury Wills rookie card. But I don't show off this Koufax too often. So I thought, let's take out this Koufax because for me, he's the ultimate Hall of Famer. And just a great card. And my last card, one of my favorites. This guy just has, this card's a beauty. And that is the 1950 Bowman Bob Feller. He was inducted into the Hall in 1962. He was, again, the YouTube influence. I think it was either Don Field of Dreams or Mike Moynihan. They were showing this card, and I just said, oh my God, that is a great card. And I bought this card from Bob at the 9th inning at the Long Beach Card Show several years ago. I made him an offer, and he took it, and I never looked back. Just a great looking card from Bob Feller. All right, you guys, those are my almost all Hall of Famers. And if you stuck around this long, thanks so much. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.